Hey folks, this is Steve Vai, and I'm here to talk a little bit about my new record, The Story of Light, and show you a couple of the guitar riffs and what I was thinking. One song that comes to mind is a song called Gravity Storm. Now, for Gravity Storm, the guitar is tuned down a whole step, but I don't have that guitar with me today, so you're going to hear it in a normal key. And the track was really just something I was fooling around with finger bends. It goes and what I was trying to accomplish was this kind of a sound where you bend the note, and then every riff you do kind of has this release bend to it. It kind of gives it a weight feel, you know? Time you're getting this kind of a thing going on, and it's kind of cool because the idea was to create those phrase bends at the end of virtually every phrase in the song, just to kind of create a whole different kind of a feel to the melody. And when you listen to the whole song with all those little finger bends, which get to be difficult when you got to do things like double stops. A lot of practice, but it's worth it because it sounds really cool when it's done, and that's Gravity Storm. Hey folks, Steve Vai here, and I'm talking about my new record, The Story of Light, and going through a couple of riffs on the record and what I was thinking at the time I was writing them. And this piece is called Creamsicle Sunset, and it's interesting how it started out. You know, when you're young and you're kind of learning things like scales and chords, there's certain exercises you can do that help to expand your vocabulary on the instrument. And one of them was just chord inversions, where you take like a triad and you invert it. And you know, for years I kind of did stuff like that, and then one day, when I was an adult, I did that. And I really liked the way it sounded. It actually sounded like music, just these simple inversions. So I just started going through all these inversions and coming up with these chords, and this piece of music started to form. And the thing I was experimenting with, you know, the guitar is such a dynamic instrument. Any way that you touch it, it'll make a different sound. So if you have a simple chord like this, and you pluck it, if you pluck it here, it sounds different than here, which sounds different if you do this with your fingers or this, you know? And that sounds very different than strumming it. And that sounds very different than even with a pick, you know? They all have sort of a different tonality, and where you strum, pluck, or pick is going to change the tonal structure of the chord too. So with this piece of music, throughout the whole piece, I was experimenting with using every kind of dimension of strumming, picking that I could possibly find, and then I started doing things like, you know, with the pick so close to the note that it almost creates a coda-like effect. And that's the story of Creamsicle Sunset. Hey folks, Steve Vai here, and I'm talking about my new record, The Story of Light, 2012. And talking about some of the songs and how I approach the guitar riff. and give you a little demonstration. And I'm going to talk about a song called Weeping China Doll. And I use the 7-string guitar on that. And the riff basically goes like this. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about that riff. I wanted something very melodic, something very heavy, something sort of filled with sorrow, but that has some kind of redeeming quality to it. Okay, so that's the emotional investment in the melody. But the performance aspect of it, when doing something like, you'd think it's just a riff, but in order to make those notes come out as if they are their own notes and not dirty and filled with other notes, there's actually moments where you have to slightly mute one string, let it ring just the right amount. See, like right like that, I'm not going, because you lose all the notes. So you have to, that one little bit of muting, slightly muting the B string lets this note come out, but still have the root of the, and then when you get to this note, if you let all those notes ring, you're going to lose this note. So it's like a meditation to just sit there and go, to get it to come out right. And then, you know, that's not, you know, it's got to have the right harmonic, not too much. You know, it's not, you lose the note. I just want it to just to scream a little bit like it's moaning, you know. And then by pulling off on this note, it's a totally different sound than picking it. See, that's very different than all of these little, and then to get that note to sing, those two notes to sing and ring out in such a low register, and the right vibrato does it. I hit that low note, I slowly mute it while the other note rings out, or you completely lose the other note. And then something like this part that goes, those notes, in order to get them to ring out, you got to imagine them ringing out. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I do. And then there's this riff that I know I look ridiculous playing it, but I can't help it. It helps the notes to sound a certain way in my mind. And that's a great kind of a riff because it's, and when you know, it's almost like being an actor and you're playing the part of, you know, this, I don't know, it's like somebody in the street protesting and trying to make their point. all these things are the way that I build a melody, and it's it's creative, colorful, fun, weird, bizarre, eclectic, but that's the way I do it. And maybe it'll inspire you to dig a little deeper when you're even just constructing something simple, to find yourself in the way you construct it. Hi folks, this is Steve Vai, and I'm here talking about my new record, The Story of Light, and demonstrating a couple of the guitar parts on some of the songs and talking about them. And this song I'd like to talk about now is called The Moon and I. And we get inspired to write music in many different ways. And people have different techniques, and I try to keep myself open to any way that inspiration might come. And one thing that I do when I'm on tour that's really, really great and fun to have is when we do sound checks. Whenever we do sound checks, we have a policy that the band is all sound checked and ready to go before I come in. And then when I come in, there's just my guitar sitting on a stand, and it's turned on, and I'm ready to go. And I don't know what I'm going to play, and the band doesn't know what I'm going to play, obviously. And I just start playing, and whatever comes out, they pick up on it, and we just go for it. And one time I was in Athens, Greece, at a sound check years ago. I don't know, it must have been maybe early 2000s. And I just walked up, picked up my guitar, and went. As soon as I got that far, the band started just playing, and I stopped them right away because I felt that something was going to be happening that was very cool. And I said, okay, let's do this. Do these 2 chord changes 4 times. And then I just did that, just like that. I just heard this chord. And I was showing him this, and I said, then do that 4 times, and then do this. And those chords just came out, and because I had such a great band, they knew exactly what to do. And I said, that's the form of the song. Do this chord 4 times, go to this section 4 times, and do the F sharp minus 7, go to D over G, raise it up a minor third. And they understand the language. So, and then I said, do that whole thing 1 round, do it again, and then do it a 3rd time, and I'll take a solo. And we record everything, counted it off, played it 1 time through, and that was it. And they nailed it. They just nailed it. It was one of those magic kind of moments. And the song is basically. And I knew that, between those 2 chords, I would just start improvising some chordal things. That's not in the song because I don't really know what I did because I just improvised it. And it's really nice to play that song because it's just freedom, I know when we go to the F sharp minor chord, I know everything that's open to me, but I'm not thinking of chord structures, what's available, I'm in the key of F sharp Dorian, because it's all in my past. That came from studying and practicing when I was younger, and you reach a point where that's all just like sort of like ingredients in your cabinet when you go to cook a recipe. You know what the ingredients are, but you're not sitting there thinking, this recipe is all about, garlic. It's not. It's about a lot of different ingredients. And you don't necessarily think what they are, but you put them all in because you know what they're going to taste like if you're a chef. And you do the same thing as a musician. But when it comes time to sit down and eat the food, you're not sitting there going, oh, I can taste the garlic. Oh, I can taste the pepper. Oh, there's a little bit too much. You're just enjoying the overall experience. And it's the same thing with music, and especially the song The Moon and I, because there's so many beautiful sections where I get to throw all these ingredients in without really thinking what they are. I mean, you know what they are. You know when you're going for oregano as a chef what it's going to taste like, but you're not guessing because you already know. And it's the same thing. I know that when I go to this chord, it's an E Dorian kind of, and I know all these things that are available, but I'm letting my ear do the talking, just like a chef lets his taste do the tasting, not his mind. And that's The Moon and I.